Um, the next speaker is a very valued friend of mine. We're going to be speaking to Roar Bjonnes on the topic of the next worldview and the local economy. And Roar Bjonnes is the co-founder of Systems Change Alliance. He's a fellow Norwegian and a longtime environmental activist. He's a writer on ecology and alternative economics, which he terms eco-economics. Ruad was the editor of the American Common Future magazine in the mid-90s, a magazine which featured some of the first articles ever to take a critical look at the so-called sustainable development model. He is the co-author of the book Growing a New Economy, which outlines the macroeconomic framework for an eco-economy and which world-renowned environmentalist Bill McKibben calls a hopeful account of the possibilities contained in our current crisis. So we are very excited to have you here, Roar, and I'm going to hand the talking stick over to you.
All right. Thank you, Caroline. And Caroline spelled my name exactly in Norwegian because she's a fellow Norwegian, like I am. So over here in America, I'm called Roar Bjonnes. So a little different, but same name, same person, nevertheless. Okay, so here we go. So the title of my talk is The Worldview of the Local Economy. The reason for this topic is because of the very important interconnection between our worldview and the way we act in the world. Every system, every economy, every social structure and culture is embedded in a certain kind of worldview. And so, what is the worldview that is predominant in this world today that our corporate capitalist system is based on? And what is the emerging worldview that we're seeing as an alternative to that system? So that is part of the talk. And then I'm going to present for about 20 minutes or so, and then we're going to break out into breakout rooms, and I'm going to pose a question that you can discuss in the breakout room, and then after 20 minutes come back together, and then we'll have some conversation together and maybe some Q&As as well. So without further ado, let's look at this idea of a worldview. What does that mean? Well, a worldview is a collection of attitudes, values, stories, and expectations about the world around us. It informs us. It informs our thoughts and actions. And because it informs our actions, it is then when we are working in groups, structures, systems, it is expressed in our ethics, religion, philosophy, economics, science, and so on. So this, I think, is very, very important when we look at how we can evolve a more harmonious, sustainable, regenerative, equitable society and economy, and one that is rooted in the beautiful landscape of the local economy, as we saw in these incredible photos. I'm sure many of you, if not most, have heard of E.F. Schumacher. He wrote a very important book in the early 1970s called Small is Beautiful, which in many ways informed the movement that we call the green movement, the sustainable development movement, and so on today. He said that the real problems of our planet are not economic or technical, they are philosophical. He had another saying where he said that every economic system has an underlying philosophical concept, philosophical idea, And to dive into that, to grapple with that underlying philosophical concept and vision is important. Then he says the philosophy of unbridled materialism is being challenged by events. And if there is a prophetic saying, I think this was said in the 70s, and today we see the unbridled results of unbridled materialism with the way that we have created so much destruction on this planet. Now, when I say we, it is very important to take into account that the structures, the systems that have created these problems very easily will say, it is your problem. There are now some 13,000 pieces of plastic in the oceans for every square kilometers in the ocean. The plastic companies and the fossil fuel companies very easily will claim that this is your problem. You need to recycle. And because we need to recycle, we will help you establish recycling plants. And there was a deliberate campaign during the last 40 years or so by these corporations that poured money into recycling. But we know that recycling is happening at a very small level. Some 4% of plastic is being recycled. There is a worldview behind that deception. And that worldview is a failed worldview. It is a worldview that in many ways began in the 1700s. And one of the philosophers behind that worldview was Francis Bacon, who said, amongst other things, that we must conquer nature. We must control nature. And then Descartes said, nature is a machine. He also said, I think, therefore I am. In other words, these thinkers, these philosophers propounded an idea that we are separate from nature. Nature is out there. We are here. We are thinkers. We have a brain and we have thoughts. And so this split worldview evolved out of this vision of these philosophers. And then Adam Smith, in many ways, adopted the same kind of thinking into being the father of capitalism, as he's often called. And he said that selfishness is the main driver of economics. Well, we see what that has led to. We see what selfishness has caused. It has caused a materialist growth economy that is in the process of eating up, gobbling up the whole planet. Darwin said that evolution is driven by the survival of the fittest. Now, there's truth in that. Darwin was a scientist, and there is a lot of truth in that. Yes, there is a need to survive in nature. Nature is not always, flowers and honey. It is also cruel. It is about survival. But Peter Kropotkin, who is not very well known in terms of evolution, more known as an anarchist, he said that there is more cooperation in nature than there is competition. So in other words, nature as a fundamental evolutionary expression is more cooperative. And that is a very important point. Richard Dawkins took this idea of Darwinism and to the extreme and wrote a very popular book not too long ago called The Selfish Gene. And he says that the selfish gene is what drives human progress. And who basically ate that concept up were the people into the speculative economy, the people that think that making more and more money and producing more and more is the right thing to do.